One of the interesting stories that we have had being reported by media houses is the story of Duduzile Zuma and her involvement in sending some people in Russia. It has been alleged that she has benefited 14 million rands from this particular transaction, and that people went to Russia, signed contracts in languages that they don't understand, and more than anything, they were abandoned there to a point that they missed their families. Some of them did not even know what they were going there to do. Others even said that they went there to be security guards for Umkhonto we Party. Umkhonto we Party replied. They said that they are not involved in this particular matter. In this video, I wanted us to actually talk about the Carte Blanche interview that actually got to make us to be exposed to the family's side of the story with regards to this case that involves Duduzile Zuma and how they feel like they have been tricked by the Zuma family.
Front lines of a brutal years-long war. The men recruited to fight alongside Russian forces are now returning to South Africa. But the horrors of conflict and the circumstances that got them there aren't easily left behind.
Attention now turns to the recruiters it's alleged lured the men to Russia under false pretenses. People alleged to move in the orbit of former President Jacob Zuma. It's an investigation we've been pursuing for months, and there are still more questions than answers. Here's McFarlane.
Allegedly sold, but now saved. A group of South Africans extracted from the Ukraine-Russia war last month have finally landed on home soil.
I couldn't believe that I'm really touching my son after such a long time. This person is coming from a war zone. I had so many questions.
Arriving at King Shaka Airport in KwaZulu-Natal, these men were part of a larger group, allegedly lured to the front line by members of former President Jacob Zuma's inner circle.
I was worried from day one, They said to me, you're overreacting. You need to calm down.
The going and their coming home has been shrouded in secrecy, confusion and fear. It's a story that cuts through the heart of one of South Africa's most powerful political families and implicates Jacob Zuma's daughter and family friends. "16 men have returned from the Russia-Ukraine front lines. They come back with trauma, injuries, and a story that is yet to be fully told." The misadventure started 9 months ago in Nkandla, in KwaZulu-Natal, where Jacob Zuma lives among his extended family. We go there to find his sister-in-law, Phumla Zuma. She's the mother and grandmother of some of the men who were recruited.
I had about 8 family members in the group of 17. One is my grandchild, and 2 are my sons, the first and the last one. And those are my only boys. Not even
Phumla says she was approached in June last year by a friend of the former president.
They said, we need men to go to Russia for the intelligence unit training. And when they come back, they'll get jobs as bodyguard, as security. So as a parent, you think like a college. Oh, they're going to a college to be trained.
An intelligence training college.
Yes. So that's what we thought.
In a province blighted by unemployment, this seemed like a lucky break. We speak to a young man who signed up, excited at an opportunity for funded training in Russia. He asks us to hide his identity.
I wanted to go to Russia. I wanted to go to the military training. I wanted to go get that money. It was an idea that was brought to us.
Before we can get to this, I know that some of you guys might even think that this is sort of like a decampaigning of the Umkhonto we Party, and that why are these media houses following Umkhonto we Party at this time of the elections? They're trying to make them lose some numbers by exposing what is going on. But what I love is that if you guys can hear this interview very clearly, they might be mentioning Umkhonto we Party, but the person that is heavily implicated is Duduzile Zuma, since we are getting to her segment. And I think that's the person that is currently in hot waters and is being blamed by these families to be in cahoots with certain people to take these people from South Africa to go and fight some wars. So I just think that sometimes we just quickly think that it's decampaigning, but I just think let us give this interview a chance and hear what they have to say. But nonetheless, we know everything that has been told to us thus far, that actually the Zuma family, especially Duduzile Zuma, is involved, and that the people that have been sent to Russia are people that are part of the Zuma families or their relative, as you saw even from the grandmother. Let us continue.
By the people we trusted the most. Everything looked legit, I feel. We didn't have to ask questions.
Trading on family ties and friendships, Umkhonto weSizwe party member Duduzile Zuma-SAMBUDLA seems to have been at the forefront of the recruitment drive. It's alleged that she persuaded 2 young men from Botswana to join the Nkandla group, Lekgotla Molatlegi and his friend. Zuma-SAMBUDLA was close to Lekgotla's father, and it was that personal trust that opened the door, says his mother Kitso.
I mean, I discussed it with my son. He also was very, very uncomfortable because of the current Ukraine and Russian war, you know. And then he had a call also with Duduzile, you know, and was convinced that this is 100% legit and that they will be totally taken care of. Yeah.
Kitso says Zuma-SAMBUDLA offered Lekgotla a fully funded 3-week personal development course, a university place in Russia, and a job could follow.
And Duduzile told me that the visas will be done whilst they're in Russia. And, you know, at the time you're just thinking, okay, she is a Zuma after all, and they're saying that
she's connected, she's got the network.
I think with this partner, the way I see it is that I think Duduzile Zuma, either she was misled or the friend, this lady of Duduzile Zuma, is the one that is actually lying between those two. Hence, I'm looking forward to the Zuma family response regarding these allegations. They've never really sat down and actually addressed these allegations. They have tried to come and say, okay, Duduzile Zuma did not know, she was lured, also she's the victim of this whole thing.
It's got nothing to do with admission of guilty or the organization finding her guilty. It's her as a disciplined member of MK and the leader realizing that there's this question that the country need to resolve of returning those young people safely at home. And she has requested that she be recused from responsibilities and focus in cooperating fully with all organs of the state who want to find the truth and return those South Africans safe.
And there were people that were arrested to be the ones that are actually recruiting people to go to Russia. But I think more than anything, this got to show me that either Duduzile did this or she's innocent, she doesn't know, she's still trying to find out who actually played with her, or these people are actually lying on Duduzile. They knew very well that what they were doing. It's just that they didn't know how much this whole thing was going to backfire. Because which parent will come before South Africans and tell us that, yes, I did allow my kid to go, and yes, I didn't want them to go to some war illegally. You understand? So I think that high chances they didn't know. I think that chances either they didn't know or they knew and they benefited somewhere somehow. Because my question, I think I did an episode on my members only. My question is, who actually benefited from this money, this 14 million? If indeed it was paid to Duduzile Zuma, can't she share it with these families that have suffered? Like, I'm just having a lot of questions. But as I've said, the Zuma families have just maintained their silence, and even the members of Umkhonto weSizwe party, they've always ran away from answering this question regarding this whole thing. So let us continue with this particular episode.
You know, and they're saying that the father has relations with President Putin. So you're like, okay, it should be well taken care of.
Everything was moving so quick.
Temba says the men were told to pack light and they were sworn to secrecy. And then on July the 8th, they hurried to the airport. Temba never made it. His documents were not in order. But for the next 8 months, he tracked his family members across Russia to Ukraine and then right to the front lines.
I felt like I was in Russia because they were sending me videos, they were sending me pictures, updating me each and every step that they were going through.
What followed was a parent's worst nightmare. The 19 men were pressured to sign a contract, and just like that, they were soldiers.
The contract was written in Russian language. They said they are not prepared to sign what they don't understand. Duduzile said, no, sign. Just sign. It's just an ordinary form. I even signed it as Duduzile. Although they were not happy, they signed, not understanding what they are signing.
Frantic families were too frightened to speak out, but a little-known politician, Thulani Mahlangu, offered to help. He was a founding MK party member, but he turned against Jacob Zuma's political party. He made calls to government officials and the Russian embassy.
I sent them passports of those guys and sent names, sent locations. Some of them, they said, no, they're in the truck, they are moving, they don't know where they're going, but they send their locations and we track them that, no, they're all in Ukraine.
By now, the new reality was being spelled out in sporadic text messages and voice notes, right from the front line of the Russia-Ukraine war zone.
It's lead mines everywhere, it's drones every now and then, it's bodies left, right and center. Remember, it's winter in Russia, it was snowing, so they're not used to those situations.
They're not used to that weather.
Now they're wearing boots, they're carrying AK-47s, you have to run.
The men relayed back that somebody in the recruiting pipeline had been paid, possibly as much as 14 million rand for the 19 Africans.
They started telling us, no, this is not what we came for here. And we are being told we are their property now.
I even remember, guys, Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni saying that they had to strike a deal with Russia, so that these people can be brought back, because of such contracts, they were binding on them.
Declined to release them without payment. And it's for that reason President Ramaphosa went to President Putin to say, we accept that it's not the Russian government that has recruited South Africans, but we need your intervention to get our young people back.
And these people that bought them did not want to give them away, because remember, I paid for this person and they had to be in Russia for 12 months. So that in and of itself is one of the things that have been highlighted regarding this case, that they were not going to come back unless the country had to strike some deal. Hence, a lot of people ask questions such as, was that deal that they had to strike with the Russian government coming from the taxpayers' money? Are the taxpayers actually paying for that? And it's so brutal that someone can take 14 million and then taxpayers and the government have to pay for that particular thing.
MK. She's a known member of MK. But to come to the conclusion, which is this notion that's been created in the public, that it's MK that went and recruited and that these are MK members, that's incorrect. That's what I'm clarifying here.
Okay, I understand.
Duduzile Zuma, yes, she's dealt with that. Duduzile Zuma at the right time. I'm not Duduzile Zuma spokesperson. I'm MK party spokesperson. That's why I said this is not an MK matter.
Okay, I hear you and I respect that answer. And at the same time, these allegations of recruiting these young boys families came back and said, we want our sons to come back. They've since returned. She resigned. She's a member of your party. Yes. She's at the center of this. So what I'm asking you is there going to be any action? Is there any action or any process that's unfolding within the MK party regarding these allegations that led to her to resign?
It's clear that whenever you have a Zuma a surname or a person that's associated with the Zuma family, everyone wants to go and go into create all sorts of allegations and perceptions. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I think
I'm not creating allegations or perceptions. I'm asking you if the party is in a process of dealing dealing with
matter
it.
here is the following. There's law enforcement process. She went and opened up a case, says it's undergoing. So for you to now want to bring MK Party into that, that's rather unfortunate.
I'm not doing that. No. And Samula, I'm going to
we're making that very clear. That Mkhonto, you've been interjecting, and maybe you need to listen at this point. Mkhonto Wesizwe Party has made it very clear that we will play whatever role we can to support. Remember, this responsibility now lies with government and the diplomatic channels. That's why it's said that the president spoke to his counterpart on the other side of the world, and they had a discussion, and now he's coming back. So even if Mkhonto Wesizwe were to play a role, what exactly do you expect Mkhonto Wesizwe to play?
No.
Which role do you expect us to play? Let me ask that question. Because everyone is saying that Mkhonto Wesizwe should be playing a role. Are we the levers of government?
I don't think you're understanding my question,
no.
but
Are
let's
we
leave it at
governing?
that.
No.
It's okay, it's fine.
No, I understand your question very clearly.
No, you
don't. Something very clear. Are we governing? No. Are these people recruited by Mkhonto Wesizwe Party? No. Were they sent there because Mkhonto Wesizwe said they must go there? No.
Okay.
Was
Can you answer this
Duduzile
question
Zuma,
for me?
in this case, recruited? Yes, she was recruited.
Okay.
Was she recruited by a person who's now questionable? We've now discovered that, and that's why there's a process of law enforcement agencies. But like I'm saying,
No, but you're not answering my question.
The fact of the matter is Mkhonto Wesizwe is
I've run
very
out of
clear.
time.
And I think more than anything, these allegations against Duduzile, I'm still going to go back to the point. I just hope that Sambudla will come and say his side of the story, because these allegations are serious. And trust me, as long as they're going to stay silent and not say anything as the Zuma family regarding this, the Carte Blanche is one of the channels that are willing to take it as far as they can. They are willing to expose them as many times as they can.
Paid, they bought us. So you have to do whatever they're asking us to do.
So despite being at the forefront of a war that they never signed up for, isn't it ironic that their most powerful weapon was this? Because this is the only thing that kept hope alive for the recruits.
In late January, we were able to make contact with one of the recruits from Nkandla. Over WhatsApp, he begged for our help. Over the course of a month, we interviewed him online.
Those guys went through a lot. They suffered, they are traumatized. Even now, it's been, I think, 3 weeks since they came back, but they don't believe that they're back.
Most of the recruits from Nkandla are recovering physically and psychologically from their 8-month ordeal. But the men from Botswana have still not been heard from.
Kitso last heard from her son in late August. Then one of his comrades phoned with unsettling news.
He told me that the youngest boys from Botswana were taken away from them, and my son wrote them a letter, a note rather, saying, "We're being taken away. Hope to see you on the other side." I don't know what that meant, but he told me that he kept one of his phones, and he said to me that he wants me to have Lekgotle's phone and that he hopes he stays alive to come back home and hand over the phone to me. But if you're looking for answers, call DUDU and Sipokazi and a certain guy called Koza. They have answers for you. Ask them where your son is.
Photographs of a man called Blessing Koza appear in this network of WhatsApp correspondence, strung between families and their sons. He's a shadowy figure who appeared to have joined the Russian army, and we are told he was close to ZUMA-SAMBUDLA.
It was the man in front, and right after the situation came out in the news, he disappeared. We never heard from him ever since. So I think he was the kingpin, if I may say. So
is he still missing?
I doubt he came back to South Africa.
You know, one of the most startling things about all of this is that the alleged recruiters went to family members, possibly knowing that they're sending them to their deaths.
Pumla appealed to the most powerful person she knew, her brother-in-law, Jacob Zuma. It's reported that he went to Russia and wrote a letter, but it was not enough. And then one clear message was passed to the families.
They told us that you have to go to the president of South Africa because this thing is between the president of Russia and the president. They are the only ones who got the key.
Early last month, Pumla and the families made one last desperate cry for help.
I'm here today to ask my president to please help us bring our boys back.
And within an hour, but after months of delicate diplomacy, the presidency made a statement.
President Ramaphosa and President Putin pledged their support to the process of returning South Africans fighting alongside Russian forces in Ukraine.
Hearing the news,
the question remains more than anything that isn't it that we are proud of BRICS and that we are working together with Russia and that these people are like your diplomatic partners of South Africa? How did we end up in this situation where now people are being taken from South Africa to Russia? And it's the same thing as what happened with the Alabuga situation. You guys remember that very Alabuga situation that was recruiting young kids was a Russian thing. It's so disappointing that Russia is our diplomatic partner in terms of BRICS, but the very same Russia is always doing things that look like atrocities, that look like they're destroying South Africa and its youth, and they're taking advantage of the high levels of unemployment. If one didn't know, they would think that Abu Ramaphosa, they're literally selling our country to these type of people in the name of such things, of things such as BRICS or whatever the case may be. And maybe this thing of unemployment is very much intentional. It has nothing to do with our economy. They have the ability of ending it, but they're doing it intentionally so that other countries can take advantage of that and then take South Africans and slave them in their countries. Such a painful situation. I think it's definitely deeper than Duduzile Zuma. It definitely is.
Kitso's hopes rose.
Each group that arrives, like I'd constantly be talking to one of them, have my boys arrived, have my boys arrived, and they weren't there.
ZUMA-SAMBUDLA has long stopped taking Kitso's calls. She publicly denies all allegations against her, claiming to be a victim of Blessing Khoza, who appears to have vanished. We try to contact Sipogazi Zuma.
Hello?
Spogazi, you're speaking to McFarlane Muledi from Carte Blanche. We wanted to give you a right of reply. She's not taking my calls anymore.
In November last year, members of the Zuma family reported the matter to the police, naming ZUMA-SAMBUDLA, Jacob Zuma's friend Sipogazi Zuma, and Blessing Khoza. The authorities have interviewed most of the family members and now the men as they returned. They have the same evidence we have and more.
The Hawks have the statements and the multiple messages between the men, their families, and the alleged recruiters. So why is this investigation taking so long?
To date, nobody has been charged. One man remains hospitalized in Moscow. The two men from Botswana are still missing, including Kitso's son.
I think the one thing I'd say to him is that I'm sorry, for not protecting him as a mother. I really should have trusted my instincts. If by any chance he's not alive, I just still want him back home.
So I'm not going to continue, guys, with the rest of the interview because it speaks to the person that is behind this particular investigations and what they think about this whole thing. I'll just end it here because this is where the crux of this whole thing is, or the important information is. I don't know what you guys think about this particular episode from Carte Blanche. Do you think that it makes sense for them to take this decision of investigating this particular matter? It's of public importance, and more than anything, it's so painful that it affects people, whether we like it or not, and people are literally affected. Others are missing to this day. We don't even know what actually happened to them. And the government feels like it's not their fault because they never recruited anybody, they never sent anybody. Because if it was for the government, they could have made something by now, get people that are going to investigate. If they could get others to come back to South Africa, they can definitely try to find a way for these people to be investigated and at least bring back or try find a conclusion with regards to this particular matter. But nonetheless, for me, the way I see it, in as much as, yes, the Zuma family or Duduzile Zuma specifically is a suspect in this particular matter, I think more than anything, another person that has to, or another thing that we don't look at is the role of the government in this whole thing. In as much as they didn't recruit, I'm not saying they recruited, but I also think that the government is not playing enough, is not doing enough. And also, I also think that some people have to be punished. Some perpetrators, people that have actually played a role in this, they should not really try to make it look good or not try investigate it for long, exposing them. Something has to be done because these families are affected. And I also think that if there is someone indeed that got that 14 million rands, they should share it with these families. Let's just share it with his family. Some of them have they have injuries that are going to stay with them for years, and they can't even sue the state because it has nothing to do with the state. And also, Umkhonto is a party, as you guys have heard. It is not them who actually did this. It is Duduzile. Even though Duduzile is attached to Umkhonto. But, I don't know what you guys think about this. But yeah, it was one of the most painful episodes I had to watch, of stories that I had to watch. But at the same time, we don't want to cast aspersions or blame people that probably are not involved and have nothing to do with all of this. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think. Do you think Sambudla is guilty? Or you just think that it's not, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than Sambudla. There's other people that are involved. And even the government probably enables this whole thing by not fixing the issues of unemployment in South Africa and allowing their BRICS partners to do something like this. I mean, nonetheless, guys, let me hear your thoughts, what you think. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you on my next upload. Bye.